Chapter 13, Part 2. Daisy giggled, and I heard the thumping of her crutch as she went on her way. I hopped out of bed and flew into my clothes. Before leaving my room, I walked to the window and raised it. I expected to see a dark, gloomy, miserable day, but I was surprised. The storm had left everything sopping wet, but there wasn't a rain cloud in the sky. A bright morning sun seemed to be taking a rest right on top of the highest peak of the Ozark Mountains. It was just sitting there, big and bright, and looked like it was trying to make up its mind what to do next. Dry everything out or make the green things grow. Birds were singing and chickens were cackling. Out in the hog pen, Sloppy Ann was squealing with hunger. Up in the pasture, Sally Gooden mooed her delight with the juicy green world. From down in our fields, I heard the cawing of an old crow and the scream of a red-tailed hawk. It was one of those perfect Ozark mornings, clean, fresh, and green. I closed my eyes, puffed out my chest, and sucked my lungs full of that fresh scented air. I could feel the tingling sensations clear down to my toes. It made me feel like I had just been born and had my whole life to live again. As I stepped into the kitchen, I saw that Mama, Papa, and Daisy had just seated themselves at the breakfast table. "Boy," I said as I made ready to wash my face, "wasn't that a storm last night?" "It was a humdinker, all right," Daisy said. "With all that rain, I bet Papa's corn will grow 20 feet tall." "Oh, Daisy," I said as I dried my face on the towel, "corn doesn't even grow that tall. If it did, you'd have to cut the stalks down with an axe to gather the ears." Papa laughed. "If I ever grow corn 20 feet tall, I'd gather the ears all right," he said. "I wouldn't care if I had to climb the stalks and ride them down to the ground." Daisy squealed with delight. "Papa, you'd be just like Jack and the beanstalk," she said. "He grew a beanstalk all the way up to the heavens, then he climbed it." Still chuckling, Papa said, "That would be an easy way to get to heaven. Just grow a beanstalk and start climbing. I'll bet more people would get to heaven by climbing a beanstalk than ever would by following the golden rule." Looking hard at Papa, Mama said, "I don't want to hear any more talk like that. It's not nice to joke about going to heaven. It's not nice at all." Papa didn't say a word. He just smiled. Finished with breakfast, Papa got up from the table. He said, "Well, it's going to be too wet to do any work in the fields today, and in a way I'm glad of it. There are a few things around the place I've been wanting to do." Daisy sighed. "I sure have my work cut out for me today," she said. Mama smiled at her. "What, young lady, are you going to do?" she asked. "I know that old storm messed up my playhouse, Mama," she said. "I'll just have to give it a good cleaning." Looking at me, Mama said, "And what do you have on your mind, young man?" "I'm going down in the bottoms and see about the monkeys," I said. "They could have drowned or blown away in that storm. I'm worried about them." "No, I don't want you down in those bottoms," Mama said, shaking her head. "It'll be damp and cold down there. Everything will be dripping wet. You'd probably get soaked and come down with a bad cold or pneumonia." "Oh, Mama," I said, "who heard of sick just because he got wet? I've been wet a jillion times and it never has made me sick." Before Mama could say anything, Daisy giggled and said, "Jay Barry, I'll remember one time you got wet and you were sick for a month. I'll never forget that." "When did that happen?" I asked. "The time you were fixing the pulley on the well and fell in," Daisy said. "Surely, Jay Barry, you haven't forgotten about that. Boy, there was more excitement around here that day than I've ever seen. Rowdy was looking down in the well and bawling so loud you could have heard him clear over in Arkansas. Our chickens and geese were making more racket than they do when a hawk comes around. Sloppy Ann was squealing and Sally Gooden went absolutely crazy. She threw her tail in the air, jumped the pasture fence, and we didn't find her for a week. And with all that racket going on, Cindy, my poor little cat, got so scared she climbed on top of the house, and I didn't think I'd ever get her down. Mama was screaming, and Papa got so scared he almost fell in the well himself, trying to get a rope down to you. Boy, that was a day to remember." "There was a lot of excitement around here that day, all right," Papa said. "But I don't think we've ever had as much excitement as we did the day Rowdy sat down in the yellow jacket nest. It was 3 days before things were normal again." "I wish things like that would happen all the time," Daisy said. "It would make things exciting, and I just love excitement." "That wasn't a very nice thing to say, young lady," Mama said. "What if your brother had drowned when he fell in the well? It could have happened, you know." "Aw, Mama," Daisy said. "I don't think there was much chance of Jay Barry drowning. I looked down in the well, and he was swimming like a muskrat down there." Was It wasn't getting wet that made me sick," I mumbled. "I was scared and my nerves got sick." Everyone laughed but me. I just couldn't see anything funny about falling in the well. That was a terrible day for me. Mama seemed to be in a better mood than she had been, and I figured it was a good time to mention the monkeys again. "Mama," I said. I wouldn't be down the bottoms very long, not over a couple of hours. I just want to see how those monkeys made out in the storm. Mama looked at me and frowned. Jay Barry, she said, if you just have to go monkey hunting again, why can't you wait until later in the day? By then the sun will have things pretty well dried up. Oh, all right, I grumbled. I guess I can wait that long. Boy, I'll be glad when I get a little older. And what are you going to do when you get a little older? Mom asked. I'm going way back in the mountains and live in a hollow tree for the rest of my life, I said. That's what I'm going to do. What are you going to do for something to eat? And who's going to wash your clothes? Mom asked. I'll live off the land, I said, and I won't need any clothes. Won't anyone see me anyway? Daisy squealed with laughter. She said, Jay Barry, it gets mighty cold in those mountains in the wintertime. Maybe you better take at least one pair of breeches with you. Mama and Daisy started laughing. My blood just boiled. Papa saw that I was about to blow up and came to my rescue. I could use some help in the blacksmith shop, he said to me. I have to sharpen some plow points. You can work the blower on the forge for me. It was a relief to get out of the house, away from Mama and Daisy. I loved to help Papa in our blacksmith shop. There was something about the work that fascinated me. The flying sparks and the ringing anvil, the cherry red metal and the roaring forge. Pop and I were about halfway to the blacksmith shop when Daisy poked her head out the back door and yelled, Jay Barry, I've been thinking. You got to live naked in a hollow tree way back in the mountains. You better be careful. The wood chopper might come along and chop that tree down with you in it. I turned to yell something back. Before I could open my mouth, she giggled and disappeared in the house. I heard Mama laughing with her. Women, I grumbled. I don't think I'll ever understand that. They think everything is funny. I don't think you're mad at the women, Papa said. I think you're mad at yourself. Maybe those monkeys have gotten something to do with it. You've been as grumpy as an old setting hen lately. I know, Papa, I said. I really couldn't get mad at Mama and Daisy. I love them too much. But I want that pony and gun so bad. I can hardly stand it. Something happened to those monkeys, it'll be the end of the world for me, and that's all there is to it. I'll never get another chance to make that much money again. Not ever. Papa didn't say anything right away. He just walked along, looking down at the ground. Then, in a low, deep voice, he said, Son, do you really want that pony and gun? Really want them? Pretty sure that someday you'll have them. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Do you really believe that, Papa? I said, do you really think that someday I'll have a pony and a gun? And this will be your chapter 13, part 2 question. The question is going to be, what is Mr. Dunbar thinking about right now? And the answer is dinner. I'm thinking about dinner. Chapter 13, part 2. What am I thinking about? It's dinner. I sure do, Papa said, nodding his head. I believe a boy can have anything in life that he wants once he starts working for it. The main thing is not to give up. It makes no difference how tough things get. Just bow your back, keep working, and put your heart and soul into it. As you go along your way, live a good, clean life. Don't hurt anyone or anything, and always be honest. It doesn't hurt to pray a little too. If you do all those things, someday you'll have your pony and gun. You'll get help when you least expect it. Help? I said, who's going to help me? Papa looked at me and smiled. I think I'll let you figure that one out, he said. I was still trying to figure out what Papa meant when we opened the door to our blacksmith shop. Rowdy had followed us from the house. When he saw where we were going, he stuck his tail between his legs and went back. He didn't like the flying sparks and the ringing anvil. He just didn't like things like that. End of chapter 13.